Hello and welcome back for another video on the powered armoured exoskeleton, where it's finally time to add the powered part of the power armour project. But before we get into the CAD design, I do have to start out with a little bit of a problem. Now on this suit, I've always intended on at least fitting electric actuators first, with the option of fitting pneumatic or hydraulic actuators later. But a major theme of this whole project is me building the entire thing in the United Kingdom, which also helps us save on cost because electronic actuators can get expensive very quickly. Now, I've done many designs of this so far and learnt quite a lot. However, the overall issue I keep having is that I can't get silicon steel either bought from a shop or laser cut into the shapes that I require for these stators. Even if I import the steel from China, I then can't get a laser cut to actually do it in the United Kingdom. They might say they're going to do it, they might do one prototype, of course they are getting paid, but because they're not getting paid thousands, they're not really interested and they just end up ignoring me. So instead, I'm going to be making my own pneumatic actuators. These are much simpler and easier to make. I also like the idea of being able to have this thing function with virtually no semiconductors. Seems as though an invasion of Taiwan is imminent. And an added bonus of this is that I should be able to make the actuators smaller in certain ways. And there are some things that I want to add to the suit later on where having compressed air on board would be a plus. So without further ado, please like, subscribe, and we'll go into the CAD designs and take a look at the different versions that I'm going to be trying. Now to start with, as I need to prove that this will even work at all with 3D printed plastic, as 3D printed plastic isn't even watertight, let alone airtight, I thought I would go with a multi-vane design that is typically used in a mechanic's air tools. This is where you have air going into the two ports that you can see there, one being an inlet and one being an outlet. This air is then divided up into two sides of the actuator where it opens vanes, pushes these vanes against the body of the motor, thereby creating these small compartments. These are then filled with compressed air, which due to the offset shape of the body, then forces the actuator to turn as the compressed air wants to go into an ever-expanding space. The vanes here are in yellow, and these are the pieces that get pushed out, and then the red track is where the other compressed air goes into the compartment and causes it to rotate around. Once, say, the actuator rotates 180 degrees, the exhaust side then lets the compressed air out the other side. This design actually worked pretty well. It rotated pretty fast, as you can see here, but as you can probably tell, you'll lose a lot of air pressure by doing this, and you can't do a position hold, making this not ideal for the suit. Although at least proved that I can get some portion of a pneumatic actuator to work. Which brings me on to the next version, which if anything should be the simplest and easiest to make, which is a single vane actuator. This is where you have a port either side of either compartment that you see here, and then that single vane, that single paddle at the top. Idea being that you put in air input in one side, exhaust the other side, it moves the paddle round, it moves the vane round, and therefore the actuator. The trouble is that you need to get these to seal. Now, if you look online, you can actually buy these types of actuators. I think they are typically used on production lines, so I don't know how bothered about they are being fully perfectly sealed. But they are also pretty bulky and have smaller shafts, which I think aid in getting these compartments to seal properly. Both of which are a bit of a problem for me because I need these actuators as pancake as possible while having a decent hub size. So the following design is the one I ended up coming up with enough seals on both the casings, on the hub, and on the actual vane and base itself to try get it to seal. And as you can see, this has suddenly got into quite a complicated design, mainly due to those seals. Said seals are displayed here in yellow, so you can see you've got an outer seal around the casing. You've then got two inner seals around the hub. To try seal the hub from the bearings and the compartments, you can then see at the bottom here two dual seals that seal each compartment off from each other. And then if we go to the top, you can see two more seals that seal the vane to the side of the compartment. Each one of these printed in TPU. I have made a couple of these, one with more bolt holes than the other, just to kind of make it a bit stronger bolted together. These came out pretty well, looked pretty good, as I like to think you can see here, and all the seals fit in nicely. And once the ports were fitted and it came to testing, one of them in particular worked extremely fast, doing about 120 degrees in 0.03 of a second, which was basically one frame of the camera. But at 120 degrees, that is the point where it started to blow the seals and the bearings out, which is when it was time to test that other one with the extra bolt holes. This one, while not quite as fast, it did hold the pressure all the way around to the stop at the other side, And as you can see in slow-mo, it still worked pretty fast. Unfortunately, however, once I checked this under load, I did realise that it was leaking back through those seals still, particularly coming out the exhaust port. And while it did offer resistance, it was clear that it wasn't going to be enough to actually lift any of the armour pieces. So it was time for the next design. For this next design, I decided what I really wanted is a pneumatic ram but bent round into a cylinder. And ideally, if I can, I would like that pneumatic ram to be square, as it would be much easier for me to manufacture, particularly if I want to try different materials in the future. So this is the design that I came up with. There is the piston in green that you can see then rolls round into the chamber that's in red, with the red port at the bottom signifying the air input for this. And then again, you've got the seals in yellow, so you've got the casing seal around the outer edge that also seals the chamber on the inner edge, and then two different seals on the piston. This limits the need for that central hub seal to seal it against the hub and the bearings. All that it has to do is seal the actual chamber that the piston runs in, and then the piston has to seal against that itself, which is much easier to do. If we zoom in on the end piston seal, what we can see is it's kind of hollowed out in the middle, so that is TPU rubber that will then expand when pressure is against it, and it'll expand against the piston wall. It has also got that seal behind it. The only tricky thing is when I'm printing these things is getting the tolerance just right so it moves with it but doesn't actually get stuck is quite difficult. But that is just a bit of trial and error. And if we zoom out, I can just rotate that piston so you can see how it actually moves internally. Where it stops and starts, you get about 120 degrees out of this, which is enough for the elbows and the knees. It's not quite enough for the hips and the shoulders. I need 180 degrees for that. However, these ports on this are massive and oversized. And it's also made out of 3D print, so that arm that attaches to the hub is, if anything, a bit bigger than it needs to be. So in the future, I will be able to reduce that down and get my 180 degrees where I need it. You may have also noticed by now that this is a one direction part, it won't go the other way. But you'll probably also see here how it's thick, and that is because there's a piston underneath in the other half of the casing going the opposite direction, so you can turn left and right or up and down. I have also made a pancake version of this that comes out at 26mm wide. However, the pistons are quite small, so how effective it will ever be is a little bit unknown. But when it comes to making this out of better materials instead of the cheapest PLA that money can buy, I might be able to get that to work as well. I will also note that I am sealing all of this one with some gasket sealant, just to try and help it stay as airtight as possible. First up for the test is the pancake one. Which I could tell immediately this was going to be a much more efficient design, as frankly that rotation was a bit violent. But unfortunately the small size of those pistons started to come in. When it came to lifting the forearm, as you can see, it wouldn't lift it by itself, although it would hold it. That is the forearm that is fully loaded with the armour. But this smaller actuator does show promise if it was made out of better materials in the future and sealed better. But that means it's time for the bigger version, which, as you can see, can lift the armoured forearm very easily. I am trying to be as gentle as possible pushing the airline on, because I really don't want this plastic actuator to smash itself to bits internally. I guess at this point I should note that the main idea with these actuators is not really to add super strength, while that would be cool, but really just to handle the weight of the armour. If it can make the armour weightless to the operator, then that is a success. Ideally, if I can get some super strength, that would be great, and also great for videos. With it capable of lifting that forearm, it's time to do something heavier like the shin, this weighing around 5 kilos. This performed similar to the pancake motor, unfortunately, where it would hold it up, but it wouldn't lift it up, even though it did want to try. The thing is, though, this is where I realised that the 3D print had about reached its limit, as it was exhausting air, as you could hear, but it wasn't actually exhausting it from any fixed port. It appeared just to be exhausting it through the 3D print. But I like to think this has confirmed that the design will work once it's actually made out of a physically solid material, not a porous one. Now that 3D printed PLA limit has been reached, I'll do a little bit of a redesign of the part to make it a bit more efficient and start integrating the sensor system. which I know the sensor system probably sounds like the more complicated thing to do, but there's actually many different ways to do it. You could do it with pneumatic switches, as I'm using pneumatic design, or I could do some form of electro-pneumatic setup if I wanted, but I want to try and keep it just to kind of an analog pneumatic setup. These can be mounted to the straps. I might be able to integrate them directly into the actuators. The difficult part of that is actually just making a system that tunes in well and operates well. It's not actually getting the system to sense movement. But I do have a question for you all. And that is, do I actually need power assisted on the downstroke of the shoulder? Of course you need it on the upwards because if you're lifting things up, etc. But whenever I try to think in my head what I'm actually going to be doing going down, I can't really think of something. Even like a pull-up. There's a lot of lat involved in that, not even in shoulders, so I don't even think it'd help much there. The thing is, if I don't have it power assisted down and only have it power assisted up, I can make that actuator thinner. And if I can make it thinner, then I can get rid of some of this side plate armour, because this was the thing that I wasn't really happy about on the test fit in the last video. And what it was really is you just got too much weight sitting far out from your actual shoulder joint. It doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel good. Something that I think power armour, for it to be practical and usable, something I think it needs to be, is if the operator wears it unpowered, it just needs to feel heavy. It doesn't need to be irritating, it doesn't need to feel unnatural. You need it to just feel heavy, and that's it. So if I can make the actuator smaller by only having the upstroke part of this, then I can bring the shoulders in a little bit, make it neater, make the arms lighter, and they'll fit together better with the updated chest plate and collar that I'm going to have in the future video, which I have started with the updated helmet design, which is lighter, won't need a neck support, and you won't have a reduction in coverage because you'll have gorgets and collars around the neck. So answer your thoughts down in the comments below. And that about brings us to the end of the video. I'll put all of these designs on Patreon, including the ones that only kind of worked a bit, because if you want to make one of these, it's probably easier for you to print mine out and then you can work out how they work and what you want to do for yours than it is for you to design the prototypes and do the trial and error. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you on the next video. And last of all, have a great day.